Everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission. We're going to call this to order at 6 o'clock on April 6, 2023. Madam Secretary, would you please do roll call?
Chair Ackerman,
Here.
Vice Chair Faust,
Here.
Commissioner Bowen, Commissioner Bangle,
Here.
Commissioner Payne.
Item number 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I would ask Commissioner Bangle to lead us in the pledge, please. Everyone, please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 4, presentations. Award presentation to the City of Menifee Youth Basketball League champions. Good to see you guys. Mr. Nix, are you going to?
Yes, Commissioner Ackerman, I'm going to introduce Martin Gutierrez, who's our Community Services Coordinator that oversees our Menifee Youth Basketball League.
Good evening. You guys can hear me okay? Okay, there we go, it's on. Good evening, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Martin Gutierrez. I'm the coordinator that oversees our youth programming, our youth sports programming. Today we're here to recognize some of our championship teams for our 2023 winter season. On March 18th, we concluded our winter season, and we crowned 3 champions. Our league consists of 273 participants that varied in ages from 4 to 14 years. They're divided into 5 divisions, Pee Wee, D, C, B, and A divisions. The goal of each division is the development of our participants and, most importantly, having fun. At the lower levels, Pee Wee and D, we don't take score, and it's really just about gaining an understanding of the principles of the game. As we enter our C division and above, we incorporate certified officials, stat keeping, tracking of wins and losses. They play 8 regular season games, and it concludes in a one-day single elimination tournament. Today with us, we have the champions of each of our A, B, and C divisions. So not only did we crown these team champions, but we also recognize those individuals who volunteered their time and demonstrated excellence in coaching. This year we were fortunate to have all 3 of our coaches be represented along with the championship team. So last year that wasn't the case, but this year every single coach of the season for the A, B, and C were also the championship on the championship team. So that was great. I'd like to start with our C division, our league champions, the Menifee Wolves. Wolves and Coach, if you guys wouldn't mind coming up to the front and standing up front as we say a few words about you guys. Okay. You want to give him the certificate? Yeah, and he can give it to the kids. Yeah, you can just hand it to them. No. So we have some certificates for you guys. We're going to hand that over to your coach. And coach, if as I'm speaking, if you wouldn't mind passing those out to the kids. So our Menifee Wolves. This team was led by our volunteer, now turned city staff member, Coach Ease Fripp. Coach Ease is a returning coach of the year and picked up right where he left off. Fripp not only led the Wolves to the championship, but also volunteered as a coach in our D division as well. He's extremely well liked and one of our highest requested coaches. So in our lower divisions, we don't do like drafts or anything, so we do assign players. And we do give preference, and I got to say there wasn't enough room on his team to put everyone that requested to be on his team. So he's very, very well liked. And now we feel very fortunate to have him as a staff member here with the City of Menifee. So we have a fun fact, is that this team had only 1 loss all season. But they got the chance to kind of avenge that loss in the championship game. And so they were able to come back, really hard-fought game, very entertaining to watch. And they ended up avenging that 1 loss, and they came out champions. I'd like to thank you, Coach, and congratulations to the Menifee Wolves on such a hard-earned and well-deserved championship. So let's give you guys a hand, please. We're going to get a quick picture, you guys. If one's here from the. We'll just maybe you can. So thank you guys one more time for the Wolves. Next, we have our B Division champions. We have the Hawks. Is anyone here from the Hawks? Oh, perfect. Yeah, come on up. Mateo here is going to represent the Hawks tonight. So the Hawks, it looks like maybe our coach might be delayed, or if he didn't make it, we'll still honor our volunteer coach. His name was Andre Smith. Smith was also a returning coach. He's also one of our 2 division rock stars, so he also coaches a lower division for us. Actually, interesting note is Coach Smith was also in the championship game against the Wolves here, so they denied him 2 championships this year, but he got one. He got one. Coach Smith's team went a perfect 10-0. This is regular season and playoffs, so very impressive accomplishment at any level. One thing I'd like to share about Coach Smith, and it just kind of speaks to his character. Last year, we were delayed about a month at the start of our season, so it ended up. Our season kind of bled into other sports. So we had a lot of kids that, weren't able to kind of finish out the entire season. Coach Smith had a very frustrating season, to say the least. He was lucky to have 5 players show up on any given day. So going through those struggles and then still being willing to come back this year and volunteer as a coach, I think speaks a lot to Coach Smith's character. Unfortunately, he's not here, and I wish the rest of the Hawks were here. But we have such a presence here. I think he's more than sufficient to represent the Hawks here. Mateo, he's also one of their better players. So let's, look how cool he looks up there. Yeah. So thank you, Mateo, for representing your team today. Hopefully they come by, we can get a picture of the team. But yeah, let's hear for the B Division Hawks. Thanks, Mateo.
You can sit down now, Mateo.
Thanks, bud. And lastly, we have our A Division League champions, the Lakers. Do we have the Lakers here? I see some Lakers. Yeah. You guys want to come up? Do you have an assistant coach or parent, someone that would mind representing? Coach Madrano's wife. Yes. So a few things about the Lakers. Lakers were led by, like I mentioned, our volunteer coach, Julio Madrano. Coach Madrano is also a returning coach who has also walked away with an A Division championship last year and came back to defend his title. The Lakers also finished an impressive 10-0 record. The Lakers' hard work and excellent coaching was evident every time they played. You'd be really hard-pressed to find another team whose entire team plays as calm and collected as these kids do. The faces right now, they don't even look nervous up there now. Yeah, that's what they look like playing basketball. It was really an impressive thing to watch. It's unfortunate that coach isn't here. Just an interesting fact, coach is in Mexico right now, right? Texas. Daughter is trying out for the national team? Yes, so she's trying out for the Mexico national team right now. So there's, and his son, you want to raise your hand? He's our 2-time leading scorer in the A Division. So 2 seasons in a row, he scored over 100 points. So, yes. So, again, great job, Lakers. I speak on behalf of all the staff, just in general for all the teams here today. It was an amazing season, super fun to watch you guys. It almost feels wrong to get paid to sit there and watch you guys play. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone who came out. Big hand for everybody, please. Thank you.
Martin, could we get all the players up and maybe take a picture with our commission?
Sure. Would you guys mind coming up and taking a picture of the commission, please?
Oh.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah. We good, parents? We got pictures? Everybody? All right, good.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Great job, all our youth basketball athletes.
You all are welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to leave as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Leave while you can, trust me.
Congratulations, all you ballers. We're going to move on with our meeting to item number 5, approval of minutes.
Move approval. Second.
Any corrections? I have a correction to the minutes. On this, number 4, selection of chair and vice chair. Last line, newly appointed chair Ackerman took over presiding responsibilities for the meeting. Commissioner Bango asked me if I wanted to take over the meeting, and I let him continue. So he ran the meeting. So that's what also be on adjournment, number 13. Commissioner Bango adjourned the meeting. So with those, the minutes will be filed as amended. Approved?
Yes. And second. Yeah.
Item number 7, public comments and non-agenda items only. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Okay. And item number 8, discussion items, 8.1 Park Master Plan Update Review.
Yes, Chair Ackerman, we've been working diligently with KTUA to compile all the comments and feedback we received from the community, the commissions, from the city council, and we actually have prepared a draft of the master plan. I do want to note that our ad hoc committee of Commissioners Ackerman and Bengal had a meeting with staff and KTUA last week and provided some initial comments. So those are not incorporated into the draft that's available. We're going to incorporate those after we have some additional comments from this commission, and then do another review during our May meeting. So I'm going to present Mike Singleton, principal from KTUA, to provide the overview.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us here again. It's great to be here when all the kids were here. It's one of those things that kind of points out why we all do this, why you guys do this. It's not necessarily the facilities, it's the experiences that that your community members actually get from recreation. So so we did have just a very quick presentation just to give an overview of some of the structure of the document itself. Matt should be here soon. I know that he left Santa Barbara at 1 o'clock or 1:30, and he's still out there struggling on the road. So that's about a 5-hour drive at this point for him, a little bit more. So he should be here soon, but I'll go ahead and give some of this overview of the presentation, and if he's still not here, then we'll just jump into getting additional comments from you. So overall, if you go on to the next slide, the document, it is fairly thick, especially when you add all the appendices to it. But it's basically arranged so that there's a little bit of an executive summary that just gives a little bit overview of the report and the process that we went through. The planning context itself is really just about, the region of which these parks sit in, the community that it sits in, and some of the history. The existing conditions has quite a bit more meat to it relative to your existing facilities. And then the community priorities and needs represents all of the public outreach that's occurred on the project itself. The future conditions just really looks at where we expect your population to go and how you can help accommodate the park and recreation needs by that point in time. And then the recommendations, there's a lot more detail. Now, in addition to these 6 that show up here, there's 4 appendices. And some of those appendices, as I mentioned before, get quite thick. So if you go on to the next slide, just, the existing conditions is really important for us to have a good understanding of what you actually have. So this just some sample pages out of the document. The first thing is really what do you have and what condition is it in? The comparative analysis is really where you're looking at what do others have around you in terms of adjacent cities and other communities. And then we start looking at your park standards to see what you're currently short of using the existing population data and the existing assets that you have. And then there's a geographic-based analysis that occurs, and these are really where are these parks at, and do you have some geographic gaps that occur throughout the community? We always want to, especially for neighborhood parks, look at having a good distribution, easy access for different neighborhoods to be able to get to. So that's kind of what you have, and how does that add up based on your current 5 acres per 1,000 population, and then how is it distributed? So that's mostly what the existing condition is. The community priorities and needs is really just the outreach that occurred, and I know some of you before had some concerns about the number of surveys, but this is a pretty high number for a community. We ended up getting, basically 807 surveys that were completed. Of those, 353 were specifically invited to represent the more accurate methodology for getting input, so that you're hearing from people that are not deeply engaged necessarily in recreation like most of your other advocates are for facilities. So they're both important standards to take a look at and input, but it's always good to see, well, if we asked a representative batch of folks throughout the community, would that differ that much from what are basically what we call the open link survey? And if they correlate pretty well, then it means that you're probably not getting input that's overly biased from particular groups, that those individuals that filled it out are looking out for the broader community as well as the other ones who may not, a lot of them probably do use the recreation facilities, but it's always good to hear from those that don't and find out why they may not be using facilities as well. And then, the process itself went on to the future conditions. And in that, what it really comes down to, your population, your future population of about 124,000 by 2035 minus 106,000 that you have now. That's about an 18,000 increase in population that you need to plan for. And if you start looking at that as a 5 acres per 1,000, you can see that we are going to be building on the current deficit that you have. So not only do you need to take actions to solve some of your current existing condition deficiencies, but also to plan for not making them any worse, hopefully making them better in the future. So again, it was based, the first page there is really showing that it's about just the quantity of parks and how that relates to your population. That middle page is really where you get into the amenities or special facilities that we were able to kind of monitor. And we did, working with all of you, come up with standards for each of those types of facilities based on, again, 1,000 population. And we were able to work with you on taking the national averages that occur, but also blend those with some of the adjacent communities. And then based on the public input that we had received, calibrate that and try to get those standards adjusted to what you really need. There's no one hanging over and saying, this is what you must have in terms of the state or the nation or anyone else. So really what it comes down to is what is it that your community wants and what do you want to put as priorities. So that's kind of on the amenity-based side. So not only can you have deficiencies or surpluses in some cases of park acreage, but you can also have it based on the amenities themselves. And then really that third one is just trying to represent how where your parks are currently located, where future parks are already being programmed or being considered, and based on the population that's either there now or what will be there in the future. And so the red areas typically are the ones that are just saying that you're going to have a high pressure there for park use above and beyond what the acres that are typically in those areas. So those are kind of the ones that you have to really look at, that you may have deficiencies. Those deficiencies will grow in the future. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, though, is that with development, especially the pattern that has occurred here in Menifee for quite some time, is that as developers come along, and they typically are either contributing into developer impact fees or in lieu fees, or in a lot of cases are building parks. So it's really important to be able to, when that development occurs, to make sure that they're not making the situation any worse. And as long as you have a deficit happening, then it's very reasonable for you to expect those developments to provide park and rec facilities as well. So that's kind of how it works on the overall process to get to that particular point. The recommendations sections have been really organized into these 7 different strategies themselves. So facilities and amenities, again, are the parks, the special facilities, community centers, and amenities, the recreation facilities themselves. The programs and services, what you do there, and the programs that you actually offer to help people utilize and take advantage of those resources. Administrative is, specifically to Park and Rec administration itself and the financial aspects of that. Trails, connectivity, and open space. And then placemaking is kind of a part that, in order to be as consistent as possible with your strategic plan that was just summarized here recently, is to recognize that it's not just about building parks, it's about trying to build a sense of place in these parks and how you can relate it to the community, to the natural setting, or how you can give identity to each of these parks. So people have increased pride when they feel it's a park that kind of reflects the area that it's in. So that's really what the placemaking is mostly about. Technology is just really as it relates to the types of tools that you can use to whether or not it's reserving certain facilities or technologies on how to stay on top of your actual assets and review of those assets and help identify projects early enough on. So that's kind of the 7 overall strategies that the recommendation chapter is made of, and each of those have really a level underneath that which are called the objectives, and under those objectives there's action items for each of those. And so that's the way the document is structured. Master plan is not intended to be super detailed because you need flexibility as you move along, as opportunities come up, funding comes up. You don't want to dictate everything, but you need to provide a structure, you need to provide a framework, and you need to relate those back to strategies that you as a group and the council have identified, as well as the public input that we received on it. So that's pretty much a quick overview of the way the document is arranged. The recommendations chapter gets into each of those strategies. There's also one of the things that we did do on each of the parks is look at where there might be some opportunities for infill uses to be added. So each park has some summary of types of facilities that could potentially fit within each of those parks. So when you do happen to find any additional source of funding, whether it's a grant or some other opportunity related to maybe some of the developer impact fees that you build, you'll know what you could actually fit in that park. And that list is fairly long. We're not expecting that you would put everything in that park, but depending on what you want, we can identify what could actually fit within that park. And that list is basically a list of things that you're either have short or amenities on, or things that are not often put into parks that are a little bit more on the adventure side and a little bit more, or I should say less common facilities that you have throughout your park. So those are, again, opportunities for infill amenities that can actually occur. And then later in those appendices, there's also a section on that really talks about how you might consider the phasing of that in terms of priorities. And, you know, phasing is really related to how difficult will it be to do? Does it have to be done in a particular sequence? How does it match up against priorities that the public or others have identified? And we did have, you know, at least a range of costs situated in there. It's always hard to tell exactly what something's going to cost unless it's been actually designed out. So when you get into that level of detail on each of these parks or the new facilities, you'll be able to get closer numbers for that. So I think that gets us through just the canned presentation on this. And we're here at this point to hear additional comments. And we already have a batch, as Jonathan had mentioned, based on some comments this last week, and we'll work those in there. But anything else that we can put in there, I do know that there was some concern last time relative to the trails section of it, and I had mentioned before that I do think there's a little bit more that we need to be putting in there on trails. Trails are a little bit difficult sometimes to identify where the opportunities are going to be. So the best way to handle those is to maybe consider some corridors, you know, a range of a width of an area that you might consider a trail that could go through it. They are important to somewhat identify up front, but there's a fine line there. Once you start putting things that go across private property, then people say, yeah, you can't do that without our permission. But at a lot of those areas, when you also think about it, if a development comes into the area, you can ask for a trail system if it is in the master plan itself by saying, hey, look, this is already something that we've approved and adopted. So I do think that there's a little bit more work that we probably need to do on that part, and I've made the commitment to do a little bit more work to help that portion of it out. But again, a master plan isn't intended to be super detailed, but it needs to be a guiding document that helps get you to where you need to go. So with that, if you guys want to go ahead and start throwing some comments at us or asking any particular questions that we can help clarify.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Maybe Commissioner Faust, would you like to, we're not at the ad hoc committee, so maybe you have some comments for us?
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't had I've only had the document a day and a half, and I was at the wall most of yesterday. But I guess I'd like to see a little bit more detail on infill opportunities, and especially in light of there's been a lot of feedback that I've gotten from community members on pickleball courts and either expanding existing pickleball courts to add more, looking at pickleball courts in other parks. I'm looking at the infill recommendations, and it didn't show any parks identified for pickleball courts in the table 6.2. Same with dog parks. It seems like there's an opportunity using existing space at even Peterson to expand the existing dog park, kind of modernize it and increase the size with the existing footprint of the park there. Regarding trails, was there, and I didn't get to dive in too deeply, but is there any feasibility of connecting Paloma Wash Trail with Salt Creek Trail at all? I know you got the main barrier there is Newport Boulevard, but that seems like a lost opportunity to connect two largest trail systems that we have in the city. And just as I was going through it, I noticed that Remington Park wasn't identified in the executive summary, but it's identified later in the document as being one of our as being included in the acreage, so. Those are just some quick things that I've seen.
Thank you. If you look at Appendix B, has infill opportunities per park, and they went through each park.
Yeah, table 6.2, is that what we're?
No, that sounds like that's chapter 6, right? Not the appendices.
Oh, not the,
The
not,
appendix at the end, and the
Okay.
appendix weren't with us last week either.
okay.
So, but they do have each park listed, and
Yeah, so Peterson's not, it is identified for pickleball, but not for any addition to the dog park. Does that mean we consider the dog park size sufficient? I mean, that we only have 2 in the city, one on the east side, one on the west, and Peterson is really old.
If I may, Commissioner, just to
Sure.
let you know, so we proposed this next fiscal year, 23-24, to council just in our workshop yesterday to expand the dog park there at Peterson.
Awesome.
So
Excellent. So I'm
that is
reading,
going into next fiscal year's,
reading my mind there, too.
just so you know.
And then also just
Shows you how much on top of things you are.
Awesome.
Right there.
And is the same go for, I see pickleball is checked on La Ladera, so is there anything proposed in CIP to expand pickleball at La Ladera?
Not pickleball per se, but there is a project planned for La Ladera in the CIP. And once we're through, we will be bringing those to the commission next month. So, but we're just going through the workshops with the council right now.
Super. Thanks. Yeah, fortunately, I missed yesterday's workshop for other reasons, but I'll catch the next one for sure.
okay, thank you, Commissioner Faust. Commissioner Bangle, any comments?
Yeah, I have a few. So in addition to what we discussed at the ad hoc committee meeting, I would like to encourage us to look at staff and improving maybe some of the opportunities for staff. And this is all tied into the valley-wide endeavor. I think the more trained staff or certified staff we have, the better if we go through LAFCO. So I didn't see anything in there about certification through the National Association for Parks. I don't know if you have any
The
certified.
CAPRA standards.
Well, not CAPRA, this is
Not-
different. This certifies individuals, and they can pass 1 of 2 tests, either a CPRP or a CPRE. And I highly encourage us to consider encouraging staff to take the test. And I think it would fit nicely under 3.3D, if we could maybe put that there. Also, in looking at the CAPRA standards, I couldn't help but note that some of what they say needs to be in the master plan is not in the master plan. And forgive me for not bringing this up the other day. It just occurred to me I haven't looked at the standards in 3 years. So just to give you an idea of some of the stuff, they want to see the agency mission, you've already talked about objectives, but needs assessment, things like that. So you may want to take a look at CAPRA 2.4 and make sure we're hitting all those, checking all those boxes. Because
Well,
one
the
of the
needs assessment really comes by way of the public input in the survey. So
understood, but you need to call it out though a little bit
Okay.
better. Or
use that term.
yes, yes.
Okay.
But other than what I already shared with you at the meeting, that's all I have. And I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to weigh in early. I appreciate that. That's all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Bangle. And thank you, Mike. I have a few comments as well. And I'd like to start with Appendix A, the Community Priorities and Need Assessment Minutes and Notes. And that's at the end of the document, I think appendix starts on page 127. There were several meetings, and I want to go to meeting topic, Joint Planning and Rec Commission meeting on August 10th. It'd be the 6th meeting, scrolling through there.
Okay.
Am I good to continue? Yeah, okay. Had commission attendees, Scott Bangle, Thomas Goodroyce, David Faust, Benjamin Dietrich, who is a planning commissioner, so he should be up in the planning commission attendees, and William Ackerman. William Ackerman was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina on August 10th, so I was not at that meeting, so maybe it was Commissioner Bowen. So I'm quoted in this meeting minutes. So those aren't my comments, and I'd like to credit who said it.
Was
Or-
it something good he said? Make sure you give him credit.
I'll take credit if they're good.
All right, delete the comments from these minutes.
Okay.
Also, some of the dates were wrong on some of the meetings, and so we could correct those. Page 74, the overview has the community engagement timeline, and those, I think, are all the correct dates for that. And then I'd like to move into pages 46 and 47, the level of service. And on page 46 in the second column, for first paragraph, about halfway down that paragraph, it says, due to lack of JUA/MOU agreements, school amenities are not included in the level of service analysis. And it's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the city does have a JUA with Santa Rosa Academy, and they did with Paloma Valley High School. I know we were doing basketball at Paloma Valley High School at one point, so that is just incorrect to the best of my knowledge.
Yes, that is correct. We did basketball games for this youth basketball league that was in front of you at Santa Rosa Academy through a joint use facility agreement.
Okay.
We are, maybe a little more clarification, we've been kind of doing them seasonal as they come up, but we are working towards having longer term MOUs with the school district. So maybe there's just maybe some wording change there that we've been
Yes.
doing these, kind of temporary agreements, but we'll look on those long-term agreements and partnerships.
Okay, thank you. And then I'd like to spend some time on page 47. It said the city does not meet the following categories based on NRPA metrics using averages for the city size, and it was multipurpose fields and lighted fields, swimming pools, splash pads / spray grounds, tennis courts, and volleyball courts. And I looked at table 3.6, and I brought this up at the ad hoc committee not very well, and I'd like to go back and try to have me understand it better, and hopefully you understand it better. And Mike, you brought this up in your presentation right now that made more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But basically if you look at, are we on page 47, everybody?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the seventh column, which would be the second from the right, is your total amenities needed. So this states that based on our population, this is how many, say, basketball courts we should have or diamond fields. And that's done by taking our population and dividing it by the recommended city standard, number 6. And each amenity has its own standard. So if we look at multipurpose fields and lighted multipurpose fields, which is, we are not meeting the standard for that based on the recommendations. We have 16 total multi-purpose fields between Valley-wide and the city. And based on taking the column 6, and the standard is we should have one field for every 6,250 people. And so it shows that we should have 17.1 total fields, so we're 1.1 field short based on that. And it also said lighted multi-purpose fields. And again, we have 11 lighted fields. And based on the standard that we should have 17.1, then we are 6.1 fields short. My confusion is that looking at this lighted fields and unlit fields, it's saying that we should have 17 lighted fields. We should have 17 unlit fields. So should we have 34 fields? My other comment is a lighted field during the day, I would consider an unlit field. So possibly eliminating the unlit line and keeping the lighted line, showing that we are missing some lit fields, to me would make more sense, because it's showing that, oh my gosh, we're down 12 fields. We need 12 more fields. And I think anything in the red is not good.
So if I can offer, I definitely hear what you're saying, Commissioner Ackerman. I'm sorry, AV or IT, can you put up that page again, please? You don't need to see my face. But I hear what you're saying. We're not adding the two. We're not getting 5 plus 11 and saying we have 16 versus 17.1. So what we could probably do is say, and Mike, I don't know if this is maybe too much trouble. We could say total diamond fields and then lighted diamond fields.
Correct.
And then so you would get the 16 versus the 17.1, and then not really bother with looking at, you know, the lighted versus the average.
I think we meant multi-purpose, not diamond.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Does it apply the same way?
Oh, yeah, it would apply the
It
same
would
way.
apply,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
It always becomes a challenge on, you know, what you count as a multi-purpose field based on, you know, what's done there. Typically, they're the ones that are not striped out. They're not as formal as some of the other fields are themselves. So multi-purpose, by definition, means that there are a variety of different activities that are occurring on that field. So I don't know if that's any part of it, because, you know, up above, you can see on some of those, like unlit diamond field up above, you actually have a surplus. So it may look like we've got a big deficiency in one area, but yet you have a surplus in the other. So it depends on how you aggregate them themselves.
Yeah, and if I may, for further clarification, I think on the staff side, we really wanted to identify the unlit fields or the fields that have absolutely no lights, because that would be that kind of infill opportunity to add lights. And that's actually a recommendation that we'll be bringing forward to the commission next month for a CIP project.
Yeah. I see multi-purpose field as soccer, flag football, ultimate
Lacrosse,
frisbee.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
correct. Versus, you know, your diamonds are softball and baseball.
Pretty much,
specific.
yes. Yeah.
And so if we could, then we also the lit is on basketball, baseball, softball diamonds, multi-purpose field, pickleball, and tennis. All have the lighted and unlit line there.
So, and I would maybe ask this question to the commission: should we, for us, that's something we would like to keep track of. Areas of opportunity where we can add lights, especially with the new technology coming out with solar. So our recommendation from staff would be to say, okay, here's the total amount of fields and here are the unlit. And then we won't do that average thing for the unlit. We'll just do it for the total. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and apply it to both tennis,
Yeah.
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 basketball, baseball.
Okay. If commissions agree with that,
Thank
we
you.
can
Yes.
make that
No, good.
adjustment. Okay.
And as we've heard from a lot of folks, that, you know, the lighting is so important for, especially during, you know, non-summer days, that the usability of it disappears very quickly. And given the high level of commute time that a lot of your residents actually do, they don't get home early enough to get out there. So when they're going out with their family members and doing things, it's usually quite a bit later than most communities. So the lighted fields are pretty important.
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, keep the lighted fields and keep the total fields. You know, our goal is to get them all lit up. All right, thank you. And there's other tables, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, and 6.3 that have the same style of
Yeah,
graph.
we'll have to ripple that through all the way on all
Okay,
those tables.
thank you very much. The other question I had, you know, is on tennis courts and pickleball courts. And the standard for tennis was one court for every 7,264 people. And the standard for pickleball was one court for every 30,502 people. I know there are more tennis players and pickleball players in the United States right now, but I also know pickleball is booming. And I just wondering why we use that standard, because it looks like we have a surplus of 11 pickleball courts. If we use pickleball and use the tennis standard, then we're only at a 0.3 surplus right now. So as far as us building more courts, looking at the chart, we may want to consider using the tennis standard.
Yeah, and one of the things that did come through some of the public outreach also is that having a location in one of the parks that you can have more tournaments for pickleball is critical as well. So, but since Matt is here, we can ask him. I know, he took those NRPA averages, took the public input, took some of the standards of your surrounding communities, and then came up with a number. But again, those are numbers that we can change based on any comments that you have to be able to pick those up and adjust them to calibrate them a little bit more to what you think your needs really are here in town.
Yeah, and I can speak to that. Good evening. Sorry I came a little late there. Traffic was a little miserable, but glad to be here. And I was listening actually onto the live stream, so I'm caught
So
up.
what did I mess up on?
I'll tell you after. No, actually, Mike did a great job. So to speak to that, what we did is we actually took some factors into account to adjust those numbers in the table. And there was a number of things that we did. We took the input from the community. We also took some other trends and some analysis of what are the growing trends within the U.S. and then also some of the neighboring cities. So what we could do is we can look at that a little bit closer. Those are, again, some things that you have the discretion on within that document. They aren't really per se standards. Those are, again, some recommendations. So we can increase the recommended number of pickleball courts if we feel that's needed.
And I think, looking at those NRPA averages as well, they're aggregate of the whole United States. But in a community that has levels of activities of certain folks and also a senior population, those with more time, it seems to be like one of the retirement things. Pickleball really has jumped up a lot, and that's probably not represented well enough using the national averages from that standpoint. So another reason to make that adjustment.
I would agree because, this is going to be the justification for CIP projects and for the next 5 years. And so if we show on the table that we have a surplus, they're not needed, we're not going to be able to get the funding for it.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that NRPA looks at all the parks throughout the country. And many of the park systems have snow play. We don't have an ice rink, believe it or not. But that doesn't mean we're deficient because we don't. In Southern California, pickleball, well, it's the #1 trending sport. It has been for 8 years. Lacrosse is going to beat it, but for now it's pickleball. And I agree with you. When you said pickleball and I was looking, no, we have a surplus. I'm thinking, that's not in alignment with what I see when I'm out there looking at the parks. People are waiting to play pickleball. And NRPA is very clear about their standards. They're no
really
longer,
averages, yeah.
they're no longer saying this is how you have to do it. They're saying every community is unique. Build a park system that works for your constituents. So we do that here, right? We recommend to the city council what we think the constituents would like to see. And I agree with you. We need more pickleball courts. And I think we probably need fewer tennis courts, and there's an opportunity there to convert.
And I did hear the comment earlier about looking for infill opportunities, and I think that could go hand in hand with that as well. Looking for increasing that recommended standard for the community, or the recommendations at least for that facility. And then finding some areas of opportunity to bring into the report as more of a baseline recommendation as well for infill.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to page 65, Program Comparative Analysis. And looking at table 312, first I want to commend the city of Menifee because we checked every box but one, which is really good. And the one box we're lacking is aquatics. And the reason we're lacking in aquatics is facilities. And I hope that we would consider, again, a joint use agreement with the Paris Union High School District, now that all 3 high schools have swimming pools, and then we could be able to check that box off as well. And it states here, you know, the drop zone and valley-wide recreation pools, but, you know, they're not in the city of Menifee, and they're, you know, I think the drop zone's 7 miles from City Hall, and the valley-wide pool is about 16 miles from the city, so thank you for that. Going to page 70, team sport participation, household participation in team sports on page 70. And according to 2022 SFIA top-line report, team sport participation is continuing to grow following the pandemic. According to U.S. Census, it is estimated that 39% of all teams participate in swimming activities, followed by basketball and so on. And then figure 315 is team sport participation in Menifee. I think that should be national team sport. What jumped out at me, it said swimming was, you know, at 39%, and yet we don't have any aquatics. So I just think that title of figure 315 is wrong. It's not, it's team sport participation in the United States or in the nation. And finally, on the infill, I really appreciate what KTUA did with the infill part of this, and that you took the time to look at each park and look at the opportunities we would have in each park to add. And I really appreciate what you did there. And thank you guys for this document. This is quite an endeavor. Appreciate it. And those are all my comments. Should we move on to number 9, or are we done with? Do we need to make a do we have to have a motion on this, or?
No, our next step from our side is we'll collect the feedback that was provided today, plus what was provided previously from the ad hoc committee. We're also going to make after we make those updates, we're going to have the document available online and posted and available for other public comments, and then we're going to bring the revised draft back to the commission. We're also ensuring that we share this document with our 2 commissioners that were not able to be here today, and then if they want to provide some feedback directly to staff, we'll incorporate those changes as well.
Thank you. And a comment on what you just said. You have a final review at the next regular meeting to be held on Thursday, May 4th.
Yes.
But you have the public draft available from April 10th to May 10th. So are we gonna, there's a discrepancy there. Can they continue to make comments after we've approved the final draft?
Yeah, if they're still
Yeah, if we're still getting some comments, we can definitely incorporate it because we anticipate when we go to city council for feedback and review, they may also have some updates,
Okay.
and which we will, incorporate before final adoption at the council meeting in June. So there's still some room.
Okay, thank you.
And
Mr.
this
Chair.
is really one of those critical parts of the process too, that, we have some experience that we bring to you, but you have the experience of the community and know the needs, and so we don't want to shorten any of that part of the process relative to getting some of these additional comments. So we're happy to work in as long as it takes to get those adjusted, whether it's from the community or from other commissioners that aren't here or from the general public.
Mr. Chair, so would it be possible for you to take the comments we provided both the other day and today And then when you return with the new document, show us exactly where you address that comment, so we don't have to go through page by page again?
Yeah, since we do this all in InDesign, we can, when we make the PDF, there is a way of comparing PDFs that show you where the changes were, including graphic changes, if there are
Perfect.
any. So that's probably the best way that we can do that.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
I would add on to that. What we've done in the past is we've built a table as well that highlights some of those changes there. But I think the graphic changes in the report might be better, easier to identify. But that could show you the page number in the table, so that you can easily go there and then see it as far as what that change was.
And in the PDF, it actually puts the pages side by side, the old one, the new one, so you can see right off the bat. But we can, we strip out all the other pages that have no changes to it, so you can just see the actual changed pages.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Now you get to drive home 5 hours the other way.
It was all worth it.
If I may, again, I want to thank K2A and all their efforts working with us for over a year now, and definitely thank the effort of Mike Singleton and Matt Wilkins for, and especially Matt driving all the way out here to participate.
And we want to see it through to the end.
Yeah.
And as
So do
some of
we.
you had heard, I am retired, but I'm still trying to finish up on a couple of projects, so it's not a full retirement. But this is one of them that, I want to make sure I see through to the end, so thanks.
Yes, congratulations.
Great. All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 9, Community Service Department comments. 9.1, Director comments.
Yes, I just have a few comments. I can get the PowerPoint back up, please. There we go. At last night's City Council meeting, we brought forward an agreement to study the Salt Creek Trail and have a feasibility study. As was presented to the commission several months ago, the County of Riverside Parks provided the city with $100,000, which is remaining funding from the construction of the Salt Creek Trail that goes from Getz to Antelope. And that $100,000 was to look at the feasibility of continuing the trail across Antelope and then around the Oasis community, and then also look at some other items as far as the maintenance costs and things like that. So we put that out to an RFP. We received 3 proposals, and we recommended to City Council a contract for dock and engineering, which they approved. Just to note, though, we did match the $100,000 with $41,000 that we had available from Trails Diff. So that's approved. Once we start working with dock, and we're definitely going to engage our commission on that process and engage the Oasis committee definitely, and try to address all the concerns. One of the main reasons we recommended dock and engineering, because they had a very robust stakeholder outreach component, and we've heard. I know some of the commissioners may live in that community, have heard a lot of the concerns from those residents. So we want to make sure we address those. So I just wanted to provide that update.
What's the start date, Jonathan?
So I think we're still signing the agreements. This was just last night. So
Yes.
we're going to do a kickoff meeting with them within the next couple of weeks and start working.
Thank you.
Also, very proud to announce this week is the actual California Park and Recreation Society conference. A few of our staff, including in that picture, Bryce Howell and Aaron Narcisse, attended earlier this week because the city of Menifee won the Best of the Best award for both the Gale Webb Sports Action Park for the design of that park within that category. So very well deserved, and it was good to feature Aaron and Bryce at the exhibit hall at the conference down in San Diego. They were there on Tuesday, and then also Gale Webb won Best of the Best for Community Champions. So kind of a double champion. So we're gonna. They don't do the Best of the Best ceremony anymore. I'm also very disappointed about that. I used to love to attend that, but the CPRS president will come down to our city council meeting. Yeah, come all the way down from Riverside to our city council meeting to present to the city council these 2 awards. So we'll definitely inform the commission if you're available. We'd love to have you come and participate in that award ceremony. And then just another update, as we mentioned, we're working through the budget process for the city and our CIP projects. We had a workshop yesterday just to introduce some concepts and recommendations to the city council on CIP items, including items for the parks that we mentioned a few of them. There's a second workshop next 2 weeks on April 19th at 3 o'clock. And then we're also going to be bringing those recommendations to this commission during the next meeting on May 4th. I believe that's the date. So definitely this commission will have a focused review of those items that we're proposing and provide feedback before we finalize it with the city council in June. So those are my updates. I don't know if anyone has any other questions.
Mr. Chair, may I was telling Corey a few moments ago that back in the day, I don't know if it's changed, but CPRS award was the hardest, most difficult award to obtain in our industry. It was harder than NRPA, NACPRO, any of them. And so congratulations. Disappointed they're not doing the big event. That was the show. It was, they would install the officers, hand out the awards. So what are they doing there then? Anyway, I'll take it up with the current board. You deserved a party.
Definitely appreciate that, Commissioner
Yeah,
Bangle.
congratulations.
A lot of hard work from especially these two here, completing all the programming, completing the design and construction, completing the application. So getting through all those hoops on there, but having a really wonderful project that very celebrated by the community. There's probably a couple hundred kids there right now.
Yeah, congratulations to all of you. And pump track's just a great thing to have in this city. Really appreciate that. Item 9.2, Parks in Progress update.
Okay, I'll go quick on this one. I was trying to get some pictures of a few of these construction, but they're boring when it's just it's things are getting erected, the structures are going up, but next commission meeting, these parks will look a lot different. I'll get some pictures in there. So Underwood is scheduling the final inspection. So they just completed finishing the repair that they had on the playground surfacing. So we're scheduling the final inspection in the next couple weeks to be able to get into our 90-day maintenance under that. As long as everything's good, we believe that it will be, but we really want to get that park in. Banner Park, they're moving along real good with that splash pad. The shelters are up. They're already starting to pour some of the flat work. So they're placing where trees, plants, everything there. So it's moving along pretty good. Remington Park, as you know, is open. It's been packed. We had a great event there that had lots of people. Mariana, I'm sure, will touch on that later on. And then Courts Ranch is also under construction. Banner Park and Courts Ranch are moving along both about simultaneously. I bet you they'll probably a good chance they'll probably open around the same time, within a month or two apart. So we'll just go park, and we'll have a lot of new parks. Those ones both have Courts Ranch and Underwood Park are another lit multi-purpose field, so that's a plus for us right away. Mm-hmm. And then Legato we're still going through the project. Maybe look like it's another, but there's a lot of work going on in the back end. So when they're ready to move forward with all their construction, all their plans, everything is all completed. So we're working on those. But that's all I have for the Parks in Progress. If you guys have any questions,
Chair, will we be able to see Legato's design, or kind of a preview?
Yes, it's been a while since we brought that forward to the commission, but we can provide an update at the next meeting and show the conceptuals for that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a big park with multi-purpose room and soccer fields.
Correct. Yeah,
Multi-purpose
that'll be a
fields.
large park.
Yeah, it'll be really nice. Thank you. Item 9.3, solid waste and recycling update.
Good evening. I'll provide some quick updates on some solid waste and recycling event and outreach activities over the last couple of months. So we have a Menifee Recycles booth, road show, I guess, if you will. There's just notating some of the recent events that we held a Recycle booth, which is a multicultural fest. We'll be at all the Foodie Fridays starting this Friday. And kitchen pails and magnets will be available for free for the public. I also put some numbers here for event collection, illegal dumping, and litter abatement, just to comprise of all of the diversion efforts and waste collection efforts that we've been able to accomplish between our events and our litter abatement partnership with Waste Management. We're really starting to try to kick out outreach for the business assistance program, which again is an opportunity for businesses to receive a virtual or on-site consultation from our consultant, Ampton Environmental, to help them meet some of the state recycling program requirements. So far or get $1,000, up to $1,000 reimbursement for establishing their program. So far we've had 2 consultations with two different groups, Family Services of America, which runs our senior food program at the Casey Center. And also yesterday we met with the director of the lunch program over at Santa Rosa. So that's going well. And we also ran an ad for the business assistance program in the economic development newsletter that went out, well, should be going out shortly. And then at the bottom is just an update of the senior bill assistance program.
Thank you, Corey. 1.5 tons of used tires. That's a lot of tires. Wow, thank you. 9.4, Recreation Division update.
All right, that's me. If I can just note on this slide, the 1.5 ton of used tires is actually something new that we're doing this year. Typically at our bulky item events, we don't collect tires. It's hazardous waste, but it's something where they do show up, and so we don't want them dumping it off on the side of the road after they leave our event. So we've started incorporating that. So thank you, Corey, for making that happen. So moving on to the Recreation Division, I've got the next 3 slides between recreation and special events. So if you're okay with that, I'll just kind of keep going. These are our typical numbers for our programs and our revenue. One thing you'll note in our revenue, year to date, we're just over $372,000. Last year, our total revenue was $403,000. So we're about $25,000 shy from beating last year's numbers. What you don't see here on the slide is that our expected revenue for this fiscal year was only $285,000. So we've already exceeded this year's expected revenue for our programs and classes, which goes to show that the residents are truly excited to participate in what we have to offer. If you read the program component in the Parks Master Plan, it speaks to that in our as far as the programs that we offer and the meeting the needs of our community. So pretty proud of that. Moving on, just a few updates on the Recreation Division. We've got some programs that are coming up. Spring break is right around the corner, so I wanted to make sure that I put out there the information about our upcoming spring break camp at Lazy Creek, which will be hosted from April 10th through the 14th from 8:30 to 5:30 p.m. There's still plenty of room available, lots of activities, and an additional field trip option that we make available to all of our youth. Lazy Creek, again, is a great place if we have any of our parents that might be working there during that time period and are looking for assistance with childcare. Lazy Creek's a really great option for that. Another thing I wanted to highlight is that our teen awards, the spring session nominations are being accepted through April 24th. If you know of a teen that is that's deserving recognition for either being a great athlete, a great academic, or an overall great volunteer, somebody who gives of themselves, we'd like the opportunity to recognize them through the application process, and I encourage you or anybody you might know to nominate a teen today. We also have some additional senior activities happening. Some of the important things we have, our next senior transportation workshop is on April 20th, and the next senior food box distribution is on April 27th at La Ladera Park. Moving on to special events, one thing I'd like to note is that I know I might have sent out an email yesterday about this morning's Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans ceremony. I do want to let you know that I'm going to be working with Corey on trying to send out appointments for all of our upcoming special events so you don't miss out on any of these opportunities. Keep an eye out if you see a lot of Outlook calendar appointments. It's not spam. It's just us making sure that you have all of these dates on your calendar, and if you're available, we would like for you to attend. So again, the big thing for Menifee this week is the Wall That Heals. Came in on Tuesday through a motorcycle escort through the city of Menifee, starting down at Sun City Civic Association, made its way to Millard Jones Memorial Park and Mortuary, where yesterday was the first day of assembly. It is completely fully assembled. This morning was our Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event, where we had a great opportunity for some of our veterans who experienced or were Vietnam veterans talk about their experiences and actually getting the opportunity to receive the welcome they so truly deserve. And then the wall is now open 24 hours a day through Sunday until 2 p.m. So highly encourage anybody anybody who's interested for either family, or just want to take a look at history, truly understand what goes into this. It's really an emotional experience for a lot of people, and it's an honor to be able to host this in Menifee. We're one of 4 California cities that is hosting the wall this year, the one of 2 in Southern California, and after this event, it's headed over to Texas. So again, once in a lifetime opportunity, and for anybody who hasn't seen the actual memorial in Washington, D.C., the 3/4 size is just as amazing. It's encourage you to go out there if you have the time this week. And then upcoming event, we want to make sure that you're aware that we have Menifee Better Together. That is coming up on Saturday, April 22nd. We are still looking for volunteers to help with a number of our projects. The senior home revitalization project is always a huge undertaking. Additionally, planting native plants with park rangers, replanting some of our trees, memorial rock painting. So lots of opportunities for a different type of skill level. And we encourage anybody who's interested in to come join us for the 7:30 a.m. kickoff ceremony and a thank you barbecue following your hard work. So again, that's a great event. I believe this is our 11th annual event doing this. So it's nice to see hundreds of Menifee residents come together to really make Menifee a beautiful, beautiful place. So I think that concludes my slides. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Just to comment on the Wall of Heels, I was there yesterday for a couple of shifts. Just amazing. It's awesome to see it at night too. So if you haven't been there after dark, it's pretty cool. And there was a full moon last night as well too. Just met a lady whose father was MIA back in the mid '60s, and he was MIA for 7 years before they finally declared him KI. But it was just really interesting to hear her family story and about her father. And there's a lot of guys that are there volunteering that are still alive that served over there, and they've got great stories too. It's a really moving experience to participate in.
Thank you, Commissioner Faust. 9.6 Capital Improvement Program update.
Okay. I have just a few updates. The permanent park restroom there at Lyle Marsh, next Wednesday, it's actually getting installed. So if you're tomorrow morning, next Wednesday morning, we're going to close down that road. The crane and truck will come in. They'll crane that in right away. As soon as that puts in, they'll connect the utilities, start removing the flat work, the concrete that's around that, and pour that the next day. So we're looking at that restroom we're hoping inspections, everything go through within the next 2 weeks, that'll be operable to the public, which is really nice. Lalladera Reclaimed Water Retrofit that's under construction. So you'll see, if you're at the park, you'll see a lot of different things, potholing and different holes in random places. It's not just gophers digging around. So, but that's going around really good. And then the parking lot resurfacing for ELP Peterson, it's out to bid. We actually put that together with Public Works on one of their resurfacing projects, because they're going to resurface that. So that way we can kind of join together, bring the cost down. They're separated, obviously, in the bid schedules, but they are a little bit, so we can bring that cost down and we can get that going. So we should have those prices back next week, and then we'll go through our regular process, getting it approved through council and everything, so we can get that parking lot resurfaced here before June. And that's all I have for capital improvement on these. I'll look forward for next month to be able to bring forward the new projects that we're anticipating for next year for you guys' input on those.
Question, Chair. Yeah, on the resurfacing of Peterson's parking lot, are they looking at the drainage as well?
Yes.
In the slopes and things
So
like that?
what it is when that parking lot floods, it's actually coming from the street. That's where the water comes from. So it's not all coming from the park. There's that drainage swale that's there. Public Works is actually not on this project. It's within the next couple months. It's going to be redone. The whole drainage in that whole intersection is getting done. That intersection is getting done. That's part of that project.
We could just incorporate it into our aquatics program.
It would be.
That parking lot gets pretty.
It gets there. So
pretty deep.
So it all comes from that neighborhood, and then it actually fills
Just
up
doesn't
with
make
that
it to the
ditch.
street.
No. So a temporary fix right now. Public Works is going to be putting out to Salt Creek. So if it rains, I'm as much as I loved the rain, I'm ready for it to be done for a little while. That V ditch will fill up and it'll flow actually out to the Salt Creek until all the the other drainage is completed.
Thank you. And 9.7, Maintenance Division report?
Okay, so as you can see, this will look a little different because we have a different actual work order system for us. So we had just our facilities, 102 submitted and 96 completed. The parks, we had 348 work orders submitted. Those are the tasks. Those include inspections, the repairs that we're going through. We're actually able to keep track of those a little bit better with this work order system. And then, but My Civic, which is the city app, is still, we still encourage the public and everybody else to use that. As you can see, we only had 5 submitted from the residents this last month. And then we still have 11 pending. The couple that are pending, they are in service for a few of those are trees. So in the next few weeks, there's a few areas that are actually getting their trees pruned through the LMDs, different areas. So they're on schedule for those. We'll close those down as soon as those are done. That's the only reason those are open, and a couple other ones are still waiting for some parts. Park rangers, in March, we only had 133 visits. We had a little less in there because of the rain. We had them doing things indoors with their certificates and everything like that. So that's why it looks a little less. With the rain going on, they would try to get out there in the morning, clear the parks, but clear the parks in the mornings, but there's not much they can do in the afternoon. I mean, they are patrolling, but it's not as busy at the parks as it is when the sun's not out. And that's all I have for the maintenance update.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Moving on to item 10, commissioner reports on committee activities. Do we have any commissioner reports?
Just one, I sit on the Menifee, what is the subcommittee? It's called Community, Citizens Advisory Committee.
Yeah,
MCAC, is that?
MCAC, yeah.
MCAC, yes. Thank you. And so we met last month and awarded our community development block grant funding and made recommendations that will go to City Council. I assume it's maybe the next meeting. But we had $79,000 and had money allocated. So we were able to award funds to 7 of the 9 organizations that applied.
Thank you. And Commissioner Bangle?
Well, I just wanted to reemphasize that we did meet as a committee to look at the park master plan.
True, yes.
And then this afternoon, I did receive your email. Thank you for the invitation today. I couldn't make it. We had a conflict, but my wife and I did go out to the wall at noon. And then Gloria Sanchez called me and said, no, you have to go at night. So I think we're going tonight if we get out of here early enough. But it is quite impressive. So thanks for the invitation. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. And item 11, future agenda requests. Do we have any more future agenda requests?
I would like to note that doing a quick scan of these, a few of these, I think we're going to be able to address with our proposals for the CIP. Yeah.
I have one request. The Riverside County land transfer, the property adjacent to the Menifee Library. I mean, we were going to look at that in July, the community center concept, and I don't know what's happening with that. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, we did. So the land transfer is complete, so we own the land, so that's fantastic. And the city council did allocate some funding towards that project already, so we have it saved. And we do have a high-level conceptual design that we can share with the commission for some initial input.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 7:20. Thank you all.